Uh, Okay, so which is the most balanced mid-range phone that you can buy right now? Well, I used this phone for a month and I can confidently say that it is the Nothing Phone 4a. I think a lot of best mid-range phone awards in 2026 are going to this phone, and if you look at what other brands are doing in this very price range, the Nothing Phone 4a makes an even stronger case. Just look at the competition. The Samsung Galaxy A37 from Samsung, it was launched a couple of days ago. It's just bad value for money. Easy skip. The Redmi Note 15 Pro and Pro Plus, I don't know what's wrong with Redmi, but yeah, just avoid them. The Motorola Edge 70 Fusion, I really like this back finish, but apart from that, it's nowhere near as refined as the Nothing Phone 4a. And then there are phones like the Poco X8 Pro. It's a good performance-centric phone, great for gaming, but apart from that, there is nothing much going for it. The cameras especially are pretty bad. But how the hell is Nothing actually able to make such a well-balanced phone? Well, I think it's because of one thing: focus. Unlike other brands, this is their main product for 2026. They will not be making any flagship phones after the disappointment they experienced last year. So for them, the mid-range segment is their core value, and this phone, the Nothing Phone 4a, is a brilliant example of this. And the very first reason why it feels so much different than other mid-range phones is the software experience. This phone uses the Snapdragon 7S Gen 4 chip, which is actually the same chip used on Redmi and Motorola, but on the Nothing Phone 4a, it just feels more smoother and better optimized. The animations are fluid, they're more responsive, the UI is clean, and the widgets in particular feel so much fun and different. It just has this unique personality that you don't get with other mid-range phones. Another thing that's always been unique with every Nothing phone is their design. Compared to the boring designs that we see every single year on every other mid-range phone, Nothing's design is just so refreshing to look at. And this year we have that again, now with this 6 LED bars that I can set rules and customize. How fun is that? There's also a red light below the LEDs that turns on when I'm recording, which is a great privacy feature which every phone brand should have, in my opinion. But what I especially like here is this pink color. I think a lot of girls are going to love this one. The blue color also looks quite nice. Anyway, just like the Nothing Phone 3a, the 4a is also a bit wider and fatter than other phones, but that's not really a problem. I don't understand why every smartphone brand is so obsessed with making their phones slim. Another thing that's finally improved is the button placement. The volume and power buttons are on the right side now, and the essential space button is on the left, so it's much cleaner than last year. Now, the compromises Nothing did here is they have gone with a modest IP64 rating, which a lot of Chinese manufacturers now have higher ingress protection like IP68 or even IP69K. Likewise, it is also a bit plasticky. The frame is made of plastic, so it does not feel as a premium, especially compared to something like the more expensive 4a Pro with an aluminum frame. By the way, I will also be bringing the 4a Pro's review very soon. For some reason, the 4a has received 2 updates during my 1-month usage, whereas the 4a Pro has just received 1 update so far. Alright, the third reason why the Nothing Phone 4a is the most balanced phone out there is because of this camera setup. I think this actually is the best camera phone in its price segment right now. One really nice thing that Nothing has done here is include a 3.5x telephoto lens, which means you can click some really nice zoom shots as well as really good portrait photos. Sadly, I can't go close and take macros with it, but the portrait photos I captured with it are quite nice. You get nice depth, good colors, and fairly accurate skin tones. Yes, it does take around like 2 to 3 seconds to process portrait photos, which is kind of frustrating, but the end results come out really nice. The main 1x camera is also pretty good for the price. The photos are a bit contrasty from it, but in daylight you can get very good photos from this very camera. The ultra-wide camera is not that bad too, considering it's an 8 megapixel sensor like many others in this segment, but I guess they should have included a 50 megapixel sensor here. If I remember, the Nothing Phone 2a had one. The 8 megapixel ultra wide lens just struggles in low light and does not capture as much detail as the main camera, while something more affordable like the Motorola Edge 70 Fusion offers 50 megapixel ultra wide that performs better. That's probably the only major thing that's missing here. In terms of video, we get up to 4K at 30 FPS from the main sensor, and the quality is pretty good. However, one limitation of the 8 megapixel ultra wide lens is that you cannot shoot 4K videos with it, so no switching between lenses at 4K. And there's a weird issue that I noticed. So when recording in 4K 30 FPS using the main camera, switching to the 3.5x zoom results in digital crop instead of using the telephoto lens. I am not sure if this is a bug or a video feature. Another weak area with the Phone 4a's camera is probably the selfies. There's a bit of artificial sharpening going on, and the selfie videos are limited to 1080p with a relatively narrow field of view. But overall, having a 3.5x telephoto lens at this price is quite rare these days. It allows you to explore different perspectives and improve your photography, which is something other mid-range phone brands simply do not provide. So yeah, these are the 3 reasons why the Nothing Phone 4a for me is better than other mid-range phones: the software experience, the design, and the cameras. But apart from that, the other aspects here are also pretty solid. The display experience, for example, is quite nice. It's responsive, quite color accurate, and gets plenty bright as well. However, there is no HDR support on OTT platforms right now, which is a bit weird. Even after like 3 updates, I haven't received HDR support yet, so that I think is a miss. Next, the audio is also not very crisp. It's okay for watching movies and casually listening to music, but it's definitely not great. Haptics, however, have improved this year. I really like them. While typing or unlocking the phone, you get a very good feedback. We also get an optical fingerprint sensor, which, as you know, I am not a very big fan of. It would be great if brands move to ultrasonic sensors now in 2026. The battery life, on the other hand, is actually pretty good. I initially thought that it wouldn't be great since it's only a 5400 mAh cell, but I was still able to get around 7 to 8 hours of screen on time with my usage, so it easily lasts a full day. Charging is also pretty solid. They have improved it this year. Using my 65-watt PD charger, it charged quite fast. But one thing you need to know is that the gaming performance here is not that great. You can play games like PUBG at 90 FPS, but heavier titles like Genshin Impact on high graphics is not really playable, and you won't get the best experience. So that's something you should keep in mind. But overall, despite the RAM and storage prices rising every month and brands increasing prices even on their older models, I think Nothing has done an incredible job with the Nothing Phone 4a. And for me, paying that extra 8,000 rupees for the higher end 4a Pro really does not make much sense. Yes, the 4a Pro has a better design, better build quality, and maybe slightly better performance, but apart from that, I don't think it justifies that extra price. I think the Nothing Phone 4a simply offers much better value. Even when I compared the cameras between the Phone 4a and the 4a Pro before the latest update, I didn't see any significant improvement on the 4a Pro. Yes, the 4a Pro now has received an update, and it also has a bigger Sony sensor, so maybe its camera's performance will improve over time. I will talk more about that in my full review, but as of now, I think the Nothing Phone 4a is an absolute deal. Alright everyone, that was all for my full review of the Nothing Phone 4a. What are your thoughts about this phone? Please let me know in the comments, and while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Saying this, I'm Pratima, and I will be back with the next video soon.